Do you actually like music, or is it just all about the T-shirt? um, it's funny we were talking about. It's like man, you go to any Target and it's like Nirvana, Kiss, Def Leppard, all these bands and stuff, and a lot of people wearing those band shirts, and it's totally cool. It's great to see that stuff. And I should say right from the get-go, dude, we are not hating that. That's just a joke. It's hyperbole. But I think the bigger kind of question is how many bands have you gotten into because of that look? How many times have you found maybe an image or something like that before you even heard the music, and then it turned you on to something later? Can you relate to that, dude?
Oh my gosh. I mean, in a major way. I
Uh-huh.
mean, I think to even have a discussion or to be able to say that like image and look plays no role in it, you would honestly have to say, okay, bands and music labels and companies and all of this just decided to waste trillions of dollars over the decades on images, names, trademarking, and all of this because it had no effect whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a huge effect, gigantic effect on. Now, it may not determine exactly why you love a band or things of that nature, but somewhere on some level, it gets ingrained inside of you. You know,
Yeah.
that even to the point of saying when MTV came around, why didn't it just flop after 12 months? And it was
Yep.
because of this new image, the images that it was bringing to the music that people were already listening to on the radio and loving or whatever else. There was now an extra visual beyond just the record jacket that was now injected into it, and people got completely hooked on it. So yeah, it's impossible to deny that it's not a major part of the music industry and the connection.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And that is a great point. I mean, you think about people like Elvis, the Beatles, so much of it was about, what were they wearing? What was their haircut?
Mhm.
Even like what did they sound like when they just were speaking and not even, performing? Um, yeah, it's interesting, dude. And it's funny how I don't want to admit to it, but I know, and I've had these discussions with people where sometimes the more you know about someone or a band or the reason they did something, it can add to your appreciation of the music or unlock something for you. For me, like Bob Dylan is a perfect example. Bob Dylan is somewhere. If you just put the music in front of me, I'm like, yeah, it's not my thing. It's not my thing. But then I go and I see the new documentary that's out, and I see a little bit about the story, and I watch the way it plays out, and I really love it as a piece of cinema. And I started getting excited about hearing some Dylan, it's
Right.
and then I really was listening to it in a new way. That's crazy to say, but it's just honest, It's like it's
Yeah.
just weird how stuff can sometimes it can be more about just the sound in terms of your either appreciation of it or at least giving you an entry point into it.
hmm Yeah, but again, to totally agree. I mean, that's a really good point. And like even when I think back on let's say a band like Iron Maiden, for example, who I think is one of the greatest metal bands of all time and kind of world renowned. I think at this point they can almost stake their claim to that.
Yep.
One of the few bands that could just do world tours, like this without even thinking about it. Well, before I ever started listening to Maiden, I remember my friend Matt Day, the guy who kind of introduced me to all things hard rock, came by my house one day and handed me this cassette, which was a Somewhere in
Oh.
Time. And I remember getting the cassette and taking a look at it. And I vividly remember thinking this: it doesn't matter what's on this tape. I have to like it. Like it's just the image and the artwork of Eddie and all of that. It was like, it doesn't matter what this sounds like. I have to like it. And of
Yep.
course, I ended up loving it and discovering all the other things by Maiden along the way. And like I said, just one of the greatest bands in my mind at this point. But it all came from that one image. I took one look and something just got stirred, you know?
I you just nailed it. You hit the nail on the head, dude. Iron Maiden is the perfect example
Mhm.
because you can just look at their album covers and it's going to be like, oh my God, I have to know what this sounds like. The one for me was was Kiss, and it takes me way back, like way
Oh,
before Iron Maiden. I was a little kid. I didn't even know how music was made. I didn't know how those sounds came out of the speakers. But when I saw these guys, in fact, I just want to show this is the Kiss that I remember. The blood, the lights, the fire, all that stuff. But I never heard what they sounded like. In fact, the way I got introduced to Kiss was I like trading cards. My dad would collect baseball cards and basketball cards and stuff. And so we'd go and he'd buy some cards and then I'd get some cards. And one day I look up on the counter that I could barely see over. I'm probably like 5 years old, and I see these guys. And I'm like, whoa, I have to have that. Can I please have the Kiss cards? And then you start looking at it, and it was just crazy, and it's so glam and painted. It's Halloween, first of all, right? You got painted faces, you got the costumes, fire, everything. And then slowly, gradually, I would start to go to other kids' houses that were maybe a little older, and they'd dig out of the drawer and they'd go like, do you like Kiss? I'm like, I like what they look like. Well, and they're pulling out all these records, and I'm like, oh my God. And the posters and the inserts.
mm-hmm.
And this kid was just like, my mind was like expanding. What is this? And then when this is going to sound crazy, 7 years old, I remember this. There was the record clubs where you'd tape a penny onto it and mail it back, and they'd mail back records to you. And my mom was like, pick out a couple records. So I picked out 2 8-tracks, 7 years old, Donna Summer and Kiss's debut record. And that was the first time I ever heard them. It's crazy when I think about it now that I was only 7, that all this happened within a couple of year period. But that's what it was, man. And so Kiss is a, and I don't, this isn't a Kiss video, but it's like, it's one of those things where, does the music live up to the image? A lot of people would argue it doesn't. A lot of people would say like, oh, it's just these are a bunch of clowns or something, right? I don't believe that. I do right. Like the music. I'm not saying it's Led Zeppelin, but it doesn't have to be. Like, they found their niche and they ride it out. And for that, there's no other band like them. And I love them for that reason. But anyway, I'm being long-winded here. But yeah, Kiss to me was that first band where it was like all image way before the music.
Oh man. I mean, you could not have picked a better example. When I'm thinking about like the second or third album that I bought out of the store, it was that Kiss Alive.
Yeah.
And it was before I even was collecting records. I was really into baseball cards at the time. And we would ride the city bus downtown and go to baseball card shops, and we were waiting for the next bus to come. Let's go kill some time in this record store. And I'm flipping through, and I saw that Kiss album, and I had never heard old school Kiss at all. And I saw that cover, and again, it was like Alive 2. I have to have this. I absolutely have to have it. And again, just talk about the impact of image. Matter of fact, open up that gatefold really quick and show the inside of that gatefold to that Kiss.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, this is around 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade with that story I was telling. Yeah, the back is what got me.
Boom.
Now, yeah, that shot right there, when I first saw Kiss about 12 years ago, was the first time I got a chance to see him. And the concert, it's Kiss and everything, and then the finale, the drums rise up. They go up on the risers on the side, and they have those 2 lion curtains that are on that gatefold right there were hanging off the drum set. And I remember sitting there thinking, I am in the Alive 2 gatefold right now.
Oh man, that's like, so
I'm
cool.
40 years old, and from 8th grade, from seeing that image for the first time and me seeing Kiss live for the first time, I am in the gatefold. And I stood there in that moment. Like, I mean, no kidding. It was almost like a surreal thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is 32 years, 30 plus years down the line. And it's like, so to say that image does not play a role or whatever else, it's like, I could never say that. Maybe it doesn't for some people, but I mean, that's just one of the many examples right there.
Wow. What an experience, dude. I mean, that must have been moving, dude, just to like, you're revisiting that, young person, and you're part of it at that point, man. That's so cool. Yeah, as I'm looking at the back of this, man, it's like I don't know. This is the image of Kiss I started with. Like
Mhm.
anytime I think about Kiss, it's Gene Simmons. There has to be blood. It's sweaty makeup, you know. It's
Mhm.
like the lights that are. This is such a I don't know, man. It's profound, dude, because it takes me back so far. But yeah, it's funny. I had a similar thing happen to me. It was Adam Ant. Adam Ant
Mhm.
started out Adam and the Ants. We're going back to like, you know, post-punk, late 79 maybe is when he got started, but I was really into him like in the mid to late 80s and stuff. And I freaking loved him. I had the cassette, the VHS or the actually it was a beta tape that I would watch learn all the dance moves. It was almost like the next generation of Michael Jackson for me because it was like this combination of like music and dancing and costume. And I was like, oh my God, I always loved that for some reason, man.
Mhm.
And last year, 2024, he came around. So now we're how many years are we talking? You know, 30
Jeez.
something, 30,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And I got to see him live. And yeah, he wasn't getting around as well like he used to. He's like 70 now. But there was this moment of like, there he is. Like I'm breathing the same air as this guy that was my hero when I was like 15. Like it was such a I really did get kind of teary-eyed. It just even,
That's
you know,
awesome.
just from I don't know, it's just that full circle. The fact
Yeah.
that it started way back when and now here I am. It's very I don't know, it's this crazy experience. So, yeah, I can totally relate to the Kiss
That's
thing.
awesome. Yeah, that's an awesome story, man. And I think the other piece too that comes with the like the image and all of that is the image also gives you the ability to take on a new identity. I think
Mm,
that's another huge piece. So whether you're, the cool kid, you're the not cool kid, like, you were blessed with height and blessed with muscles and or blessed with breast or not, or if you're the person that was like blessed with just the opposite of every, like all the different things that separates us, especially like in the high school phase and all of that. The one thing the image did was it allowed you to take something or someone else that was cool, and now I'm officially part of the cool thing. And it didn't make a
yep,
difference if that was, you know, Overkill or Slayer, or if that was Public Enemy, or if that was Kiss, or if that was Madonna. It's like there's something cool out there that I can officially be a part of. Because now when
yeah,
you look at me, you're not just seeing me, you're seeing Madonna because I have all the bracelets on and I have all the, that type of thing. And I think just the way that image can make that bond and actually in some kind of way almost make you something that you're maybe not. There's something that becomes very powerful about that, and people get attached to those images. They get moved by those images, and yeah, it's just another reason why that type of thing and MTV and all of that just played such a role in showing this is how powerful the image is.
yep, absolutely. I love that you mentioned high school because in a way, at least when we went to high school, it wasn't just like an option, I feel like. It was important. People are looking to see who is this guy? Does he have the corrosion of conformity t-shirt on? Is he wearing Metallica? Is it MJ? Like we need to know what group you're in,
Uh-huh.
dude. And there's a real pressure. And maybe it's still like that, but man, I just remember there being like, hey, whose side are you on, dude? Kind of a thing, you know?
Right. It's almost like being in prison. Like you're going to high school, man. You got to join a gang, and you better determine who that gang is right now. Or you're gonna get eaten up.
Exactly. Well, and we talked about this before, is that like if you had multiple identities, like I think both of us did, you
Mhm.
know, you as an athlete and the other stuff you were doing, me, I was a skater plus into like, you know, new wave music. And I was, you know, I played a little bit of sports here and there too,
Mhm.
mostly outside of high school, but it's like, yeah, I was like, people couldn't pin me down. I actually kind of like that. You know, it's like, you know, I leave a little mystery. What is this guy? He's actually really good at baseball, and yet why is he wearing tie-dye pants? You know, it's like, I never fit any of those molds because I was just trying to like, you know,
Yeah.
dabble in it all, you know.
Yeah, I can remember the days of wearing the MC Hammer pants to school, and and like when the grunge thing kind of caught on. I mean, that was kind of right at the end of my schooling or whatever. But it's like, yeah, I wanted the flannel shirts and all of that. the thing I never had the bravery to do was go with the whole like the battle vest, just like
Okay, yeah.
with the battle vest and with all the Metallica stuff and all the like that almost seemed like okay, that's a little too extreme and I can't quite go there.
You
But
are really picking a side when you do that.
right, right.
Yeah.
But the Flavor Flav clocks and the Africa necklaces and all of that. It's like, yeah, it was that stuff was really really powerful. It told thousands of kids who you were. At least you thought it did.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Oh man, I remember that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all fun and games wearing the Volkswagen, around a bracelet or the chain until they started coming up missing in the parking lot, and it was like, all right, no more VW. If you came to school with a Mercedes one, I mean, I never did, but you'd see people walking around. It's like, wait a
Mhm.
minute, that had to come off a car, man. What are you doing? The Beastie
Yeah.
Boys really started a problem, I imagine.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, and one more it makes me kind of think about is when we talk about image, whether it's relevant or not. I mean, does that answer the question
Oh
about whether
yeah.
image is relevant or not?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about I mean that's all that was about. I mean, I to this day, like I have no problem saying those are two beautiful ass dudes right there, man. It's like two of the coolest looking dudes ever. It's just
Ah,
no doubt. And there was a reason why they were thrown on that stage,
yep.
you know, because image matters big time.
Yeah, and you nailed it, MTV. It's funny too to hear. I can't think of. I know I channel Frank Zappa a lot, but it's because I've watched all his interviews, and he talks
Mhm.
about like people would ask him like, what do you think of current music? Can a band make it now? And he's like, sure, if you look good, if you can make it on MTV, they want to see your picture, and then they'll talk to you about whether you can perform or not. And
Right.
I know Frank was cynical and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but there's some truth to that, right? I mean, there's some truth to like you got to look good, you got to be presentable. At least
Mhm.
there was a time when that was important, and I don't know. It seems to me like it still is. Most people I see that are singing are beautiful, so um, it helps, I guess. But yeah, man, it's funny how image plays into that. So yeah, man, image. I would say image is everything, but it's crazy how it can play into this stuff and just kind of introduce you to something. And like you said, I mean, even be a part, really become a part of who you are. Like I think even now, like clothes I wear or shoes I
Mhm.
wear is stuff that I'm wearing the Adidas shell-toed shoes that Run DMC or LL Cool J or whatever those guys were wearing back then. I'm still wearing those. So call me
Mhm.
crazy, but it just gets embedded in there, and sometimes it's hard to get it out.
Y- Yeah, and with the way the video age came about too. I mean, it's like we can't just leave that out of the conversation because there
Yeah,
used to be a time where you didn't know what Led Zeppelin looked like unless you went and saw them in concert. Because Led Zeppelin 1 cover didn't tell you, Led Zeppelin 2 cover didn't tell you,
that's true.
3
Yeah,
didn't tell you, 4 didn't tell you. There weren't videos, 1970 whatever. There weren't. So unless you went and saw the band, it's like you didn't know what they were like. So when all of a sudden everyone has a screen in their home and everyone has cable TV and all of that, it's just natural that guess what, guys, looks are going to start becoming a lot more important. And
yeah,
like you said, it's like how come it's so hard to get a pop star for the most part unless they look like they could double as a model? Like
right.
that in of itself should tell you something because Christopher Cross and a lot of these guys, Lemmy and like guys like this, they weren't beautiful guys. Frank
Right.
Zappa, they weren't beautiful guys. It
Exactly
was,
right.
Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, those weren't beautiful guys. It was strictly talent.
That's why they were so angry at MTV. They're like, "Oh man, now people have to look at us. We're going to start
Right.
losing fans."
It's like just listen to our greatness, but it's
Yep,
just how things changes.
it's true, dude. It's true.
Mhm.
Well, dang, dude. All right, guys, let us know who are bands that either you own the T-shirt to, but you've never heard a note of their music, or who did you discover based on imagery first? Like, what you saw someone with the T-shirt, or you looked at the record cover and you became curious about it, and next thing you knew that no, they're your favorite freaking band. We want to know. Or are you just totally objective and it doesn't influence you at all and it's just about the music? I wish I could say that. I'm realistic. It's not. It's not. uh, Well, Brandon, dude, thanks, man. This one was fun, dude.
Yeah, another great one, man. That was a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you guys. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.